From the Aishan Broadcast Studio, it's Power Players, brought to you by DX1.
MPN's Power Player is sponsored by DX1. Connect every part of your dealership with DX1's cloud-based, all-in-one solution, offering a certified DMS, lead manager, website, marketing tools, and more. All built into one smart, seamless solution. Visit dx1app.com for more information.
Welcome to the Motorcycle and Powersports News Power Players. I'm your host, Brian Ankney. Today our guest is Jacob Berry from Motohunt. Welcome, Jacob.
Hi, Brian.
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you. Hi, everybody. Hi, Ashley in the room over there.
Yeah, well, welcome to Babcock's. We're really excited to have you.
Thank you.
I want to talk a little bit at first about inventory. Why is inventory management so important to dealers today?
We're going to roll right into it. Just wanted to say thanks again for having me. This is a super impressive place that you got here. The studio, the shop, everything. Super humble to be on the podcast with you. So thank you. But inventory management, it's very near and dear to us because we feel that it's the dealer's number one asset. So poorly managing your inventory is going to bleed a lot of cash from dealers, right?
Yep.
So we see it all the time. New OEMs are always trying to give more of their inventory to dealers. We've seen it now more than ever. Demand is slightly waning, right? And so nothing's really wrong with that, but you got to have a good management system to help you with this inventory. Mm-hmm. So pricing comps, book values, all that stuff applies. And what dealers are really doing now is they're starting to be intelligence-based, using data-driven decisions. Mm-hmm. And that's what we built at Motohunt.
Cool, yeah. Cool. I mean, you mentioned some about new inventory, but let's talk a little bit about used inventory. I mean, used inventory is as important today as it's ever been. And, you know, dealers would love to find the right bikes. How do they source those bikes? How do they know which bikes those are? Like how can they make sure they're putting the right things, you know, in their dealership to have the opportunity to maximize their profits?
We're really leaning hard into this right now.
Yeah.
So the used bikes is something that dealers are going to provide a big profit center for in this year and many years coming, right? So I actually just finished up a buyer's guide. It's called the Motohunt Profit Accelerator, and it's free to anybody that wants to download it. Dealers.motohunt.com is where they can find it. And what it is it kind of explains on how to start up or enhance your current used bike strategy. So we kind of listed out as 5 major sourcing ways that you can get and maintain a used bike acquisition strategy, right? And so I'll just kind of go through it real quick. Number 1 is wholesale, right? So a couple of the dealers listening to this, they probably are already working with other dealers to source used bikes, primarily from automotive dealers, or maybe you're, you know, not a Harley dealer, but you get some metric import trades from a Harley dealer. So the wholesale game is very important, right? But it's highly competitive. The second one would be auctions, right? Everybody knows National Powersports auctions. You might even have your own auctions locally, right? But it's it's typically there's high fees attached to it, maybe some transportation costs, but you can definitely buy in bulk, right? And you know, the MPA and other auction places are a great way to source these used bikes. The other one is your service department. Now, this is a gold mine that I have not seen a lot of dealers really take advantage of. The other one is private party. Everybody's been trying to kind of get into that with Facebook Marketplace. Craigslist has kind of been something that's been dying a little bit, right? And then you have, OfferUp and other classified sites like that. But then our 5th one is going to be website marketing with your trade page, right? So we kind of go through all these different little strategies and we kind of tell you, hey, this is what we can do here. This is what you can do there, and the pros and cons to each. Now with Motohunt, we actually had built out this new program called a Buy Center, and we tackle those last 3 within the Buy Center. So we're trying to bring you your service repair order opportunities for mining that gold mine in the service department, right? Often sales managers don't look in the back of the building for opportunities on how they can get used motorcycles. The Facebook Marketplace, it's a tough and highly competitive place. So we're trying to speed that up and bring that information to you quicker through our tools. And then obviously the website, right? So the largest place that you can have customers see your brand and your information is going to be your URL, right? So why not have some dedicated places on your website that can capture that interest?
DX1 is the only all-in-one dealership management solution for the motorcycle and power sports industry. The perfect combination of a DMS, website, and suite of marketing tools that encourages dealers to invest in their customers and not into separate software to run their dealership. All of the components of DX1 work seamlessly together to increase their staff's efficiency while allowing dealers to be with their customers rather than behind a computer screen duplicating data entry. OEM integrations, automated scheduling, and smart customer notifications combine with the real-time flow of data throughout the dealership to simplify tasks and improve day-to-day operations, all within one system and one login. This secure, cloud-based solution is accessible everywhere and has proven to be a crucial asset in the success of many powersports dealerships today. Contact DX1 now and see why others are switching to the only all-in-one powersports dealership management solution. DX1.
You know, you mentioned auctions, and auctions is a great place to go get a lot of inventory, and there's a lot of selection. But there's a saying that I've heard some older folks say, that not all bikes at the auction are bad, but all bad bikes end up at the auction. And so probably the best bikes that you can find are either people from your website or people that are private sellers.
Mhm.
The private seller is very likely somebody that has a garage kept bike that they've taken care of, that they've done maintenance on, and everybody wants those bikes. How do you get more of those bikes, and how do you stay organized? I mean, you mentioned a few different places where you can find those bikes, but if you and I work together and I'm off, and a customer I was talking to wants to talk to somebody about selling their bike, and I'm not there, how does the dealership keep that organized?
Great question. It's all about speed, accountability, and efficiency, right? So our tools actually were designed for dealers that are looking to actually put some people behind this strategy, right?
Yep.
It's not just a random, hey, go on Craigslist, go on Facebook Marketplace and try to find some used bikes to sell, right? We organize it in one centralized hub that multiple people that are responsible for this job function, call it, right? Whether that be a sales manager or its own position, they have a place to kind of, almost track this stuff. Think about it almost as a sales department in reverse, right? A sales department is meant for selling bikes through digital leads or walk-ins or whatever, right? And that's how they operate. We've been doing that forever. But when it comes to buying bikes, you kind of flip that in reverse, right? But they need their own system so that they can manage all these different offers that they're sending out to all these prospective buyers, auctions included, private party included, service department included. And it's just kind of helping them organize it all in one place so that they can stay on top of it. The best dealers, right? They use systems, they use processes to kind of help tackle these problems that they're having. And when it comes to used bike buying, ours is definitely one that helps them with that.
Jacob, I've heard from a lot of dealers that when you're selling used bikes, that you don't make the money when you sell it. You make the money when you buy it right.
Yes.
How can dealers have an organized system to do that?
Well, you took my phrase, right? So I was actually going to bring that up. My mentor, when I started in my career, actually beat that into us, right? The profit is made in the buy, not the sale.
Yeah.
So here's where that stuff has to be, focused on, right? Is that when you buy a motorcycle, and most of you guys out there listening to this will know this off the top of your head, but you have other things that you need to charge to that bike, right? There's reconditioning, there's pack fees, there's dock fees. All these things are not included in that upfront buy. So having this system that kind of tells you where to buy this bike correctly at the right price, especially when you add in stuff like market demand, will definitely make it a hot seller when it's time to hit the sales floor.
What kind of data are you looking at to know that? Like when you're looking for, okay, I bring a bike in and I'm interested in selling it to you or trading it in. Like, what are you looking at to determine what's a good price?
So we built kind of this war chest, right? It's a one pager. It's an aggregate of a lot of different points of information that dealers used to make these decisions, right? It doesn't do anything for you. It provides that decision-making power, okay? So we're looking at sales velocity. We're looking at sales history. We're looking at market day supply, which is a pretty common automotive term, maybe not too popular in power sports, but it will be, hopefully, with our tool, right? We're educating dealers out there as well. But comps is the biggest one, right? So how many are in my market? What is their average days to sale? What is their average pricing? Where are they at in my local market? Where are they at nationally? I mean, it's just an aggregate of all this information that we presented to the buyer, and say, here's where your information is. You need to make the next decision on the buy, price, and the negotiation. Now, that's a little bit of a skill set in and of itself, which we don't have to cover on this, but at least if you start the process and you put the offers out there, you're going to get some back, right? And you'll improve your skill set on how to negotiate the proper buy.
We actually I did an interview with Dale Pollock, the guy who created Viato for the car dealerships.
Yes.
And it's interesting that, you bring up that a lot of car dealers are doing that, and that technology is now available to motorcycle dealers. And it's really like something that once you understand it, it's like, I can't believe that we weren't always doing this. And now the tools are there that you can.
Yes. I came from automotive a long, long time ago, and I'm very familiar with Mr. Pollock, highly respected. Viato is widely used in, I think, just about every single automotive dealership. That's kind of my goal with Motohunt, right? I built this to be a Viato-esque type tool for Powersports. There's always kind of this joke that, the motorcycle business, the industry is a little bit lagging behind automotive. What we're trying to do is to close that gap, right? We should have the same abilities, the same resources, and the same tools available to us in Powersports that the automotive guys have today.
I think a lot of the advantage the automotive people had is because the consistent data was available sooner.
Yep.
Like it wasn't as heavy of a lift to take the automotive data and then provide it in a format where people could understand it and use it as it was, for Powersports. So as a Powersports data has improved and the availability of that data, now the tools can achieve the same things.
Absolutely. When you look at this industry, it's highly fragmented, right? There are so many variables to the Powersports, or you can call it the non-automotive business, right? We have on-road, we have off-road motorcycles, ATVs, UTVs, PWCs, marine. You can even include RV, whatever, right? We don't cover RV in Motohunt, but maybe one day we will. But this fragmented data that we're looking at, it's really about accuracy, right? And when you're trying to provide a tool that is touting the intelligence of saying, hey, this is what it is, and it's factual and a dealer can rely on it, that takes a lot of work. So we built our own database. We don't rely on any other third party. We have other third party supplemental data points, but we built our own database that is homegrown and the source of truth for a lot of what we do and how we present that information to the user.
Cool. Now you mentioned you came from automotive, so let's talk about that for a minute. Tell us a little bit about your career path and how you ended up, doing what you're doing today.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I spent half my life in dealerships, right? And so automotive, I went to tech school a long time ago, got a job at a car dealership turning wrenches. I was in service. I've had positions in parts, sales. But it wasn't until I hit Powersports over a decade ago that I was like, wow, I've really found my love, right?
Yep.
And with the last company that I was with, I was able to climb the ladder and be part of a lot of the important decision making. So what kind of started this whole Motohunt history, if you will, and I'll take you to the Wayback Machine, but I'm sitting in a room and we're looking at a screen on the wall that is from one of our guys' laptops, right? And it's an Excel spreadsheet. And we're going through, 8,000, 9,000 different line items of pieces of inventory from our total group, right? These are in-stock units that we're trying to manage. New, used, Harley, metric, it doesn't matter, right? And we do this monthly. And there's about 7 people of us. It takes about 3 days to prepare this data and then 2 days to be part of the meeting to manage it. And we're, transferring units, we're marking down units, we're raising prices on units. We're doing everything that an inventory management team would do, right? Just at a very large scale. And after a while, I'm sitting there and I'm saying, there has to be a better way to do this, right? There has to be some software that can provide this information in real time. It's got to be quick, it's got to be accurate. And we have to kind of ditch the Excel spreadsheets, right? That dealers have been using for decades, right? And so that's what we built. That was our mission, right? Was to provide this data in real time and to be as accurate as we can with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you think about it, that's a 5-day process. And so you couldn't do that every week, and you're doing it even every month. I mean, you figure that's taking 20% of your work time to just do that process. And now if you have data right at your fingertips, you can be doing that all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I've spent half of my career, fixing dealers' problems, right? I'm trying to come up with solutions. And so when I help dealers solve their problems, I'm also listening to what they're talking about. And right now they're talking about, how do I stay competitive in my market? I've got too much inventory. How do I manage it? How do I buy more bikes? And then more importantly, how do I get more leads to sell these bikes on, on my showroom floor? And so, what we've built is this program that allows some flexibility in all those, right? Right now I'm laser focused on solving these problems of inventory management. I'm laser focused on used bike buying because that's what dealers are wanting, right? That's where they see the future of the profit center for a lot of their dealerships. I'm laser focused on lead generation. I'm laser focused on inventory marketing, right? And so if a dealer is looking for any of those solutions to those problems that they may be having, maybe they don't even know that they're having those problems right now, they can definitely reach out to me and I'd be glad to help them. I want to give back to this industry as much as it's given me.
Let's talk a little bit about leads. I mean, leads are like ice cream. Everybody would like more. So let's talk about that. And I kind of want you to come at this answer from two angles. Just generating more leads, but you also mentioned the hard to sell bikes, and maybe talk a little bit about how a dealer can expand the amount of leads that they're getting, and then maybe talk specifically about how to market those hard to sell units.
Yes, I'll go with that one first, right?
Okay.
So every dealer faces stale inventory, right? They're always back of the house, maybe the unpopular ATV that nobody really wants, and they put their hot stuff up front that they know that quickly moves, right? Obviously, that's not a great approach to how you shuffle your floor and manage your inventory. There's also the online aspect of it as well, right? So when you're looking online, and even from a customer's perspective, it's got stock photos, it's got missing pricing information, right? There's no call to action. Right, your digital showroom is kind of blank, right? And so we see a lot of dealers struggling with that because there's just no emphasis on it. And quite frankly, I don't blame them. When you've got some of these multi-line dealers that have 5, 6, 700 pieces of inventory, it's like, where do you start, right? And so we've certainly addressed that with our tools. We wanted to make it so that they can break it down, new, used, by segment, by brand, by age, whatever the dealer needs at that specific time, give them alerts and kind of help them merchandise it as well.
Presented from the Aishin Broadcast Studio at Babcock's Media.
I'd say that most dealers would say they want more website traffic, but one of the problems with website traffic is a lot of times people aren't taking advantage of the website traffic they have, and it's expensive to add more. I mean, it's really easy to get up to like kind of a good level of traffic. And then there's a point of diminishing returns where you can spend a lot more money and really not get that much more traffic. Can you talk a little bit about some strategies that you've helped dealers with to get more from the traffic they already have?
Absolutely, yeah. Let me address the lead stuff real quick. So,
okay.
This is always the holy grail, right?
Yep.
Dealers are always talking about, I need more leads for my sales team, right? There is some correlation to the volume of leads that you get with how many units you have in stock, or what the seasonality is, or what your pricing strategy is, right? Whether you're a gross profit dealer or whether you're a rock bottom competing price dealer, right? So leads are always this one thing that is measurable because it's always the top line of how you measure everything from there, right? How many leads did I get, and then what did I do with them? Now, Motohunt, we actually have solved a little bit of the problem with marketing for those leads, right? So when you talk about how you're represented online, and I'm talking to the digital people at this point, right? Your showroom is your showroom. A lot of people know how to manage that. The digital space is still a little voodoo in some operators' eyes. Yeah. But when you talk about how to merchandise your vehicles properly, right? You got to know what to price it at. You got to know, which units need photos, right? If it's a stock photo, you're going to have to take 12 to 15 proper photos of this vehicle. If it's a used bike, you definitely want to have mileage attached to it. That's one of the biggest things that consumers tell us is important when they're looking at online listings, and have a summary for it, right? So the merchandising aspect of it as well, it plays into the managing of your inventory, but really it's meant for that online website representation of what you got to sell, which is the number one asset that a lot of dealers carry, right? Now, we've also got some DIY tools in there that are pretty slick. It's kind of a industry first to provide these for dealers looking to tackle this on their own. And we fully support any dealer that wants to do their own marketing, or if they have an agency that helps them out. We provide these catalog tools for Google and Meta. So it helps amplify and really get rid of a lot of the waste ad spend that dealers, burn through cash every month and they don't know what they're getting out of it. And the best part about it, it's all dynamically rotating with your current in-stock inventory. You get a new, fresh trade-in that you've got online. The next day it is available through this catalog on Google or on Meta to advertise to the public. You start getting hits on it immediately.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Now, if the DIY tools don't work for you, obviously we have an agency set up through our company for a turnkey, done for you program that we just turn it on for you, right? We manage your ad spend, we get you the leads, and we do everything for you. And usually we've got a big amount of dealers that are interested in that, and that sign up for that once they kind of see the results.
You know, we do a similar thing here at Babcock's. You know, like a lot of the companies that we work with, that are advertisers, you know, they've tried social media and they're like, you know, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, what did you do? And a lot of times it turns out that you know, they spent a lot of money creating a really nice post and then they put it out there and nobody responded to it, when realistically Meta's like any other business. You have to pay them a little bit for them to pay attention, but you don't have to pay them that much.
Yeah.
I mean, like, how do you convince dealers that think that, you know, social's not for them to give it a shot?
Well, I don't need to convince anybody, right? What I need to do is prove it. And we've done that for many, many years through many different dealers through many different strategies on not only Meta, but also Google, right? Mm-hmm. So I think what you're talking about is more of a organic strategy, right?
Well, I mean, I a lot of times people will think that organic didn't work for them the way they wanted it, and so they're afraid to try the paid.
Yeah.
And realistically, I mean, when you tell somebody that thinks social doesn't work, how inexpensive it is to do it paid,
yep,
they're usually shocked and they don't even believe you. But that's one of the hardest things to convince people. I mean, we do a lot of that for our advertisers to our audiences. We help them with that, but it's usually the hardest thing to convince them right off the bat, and then they never ever stop. Like once they try it, they never stop. But
yeah.
I'm just curious, you know, when you talk to dealers that are like, I don't know about that. Like, how do you get them to dip their toe in the water?
Well, we do it in a way that revolves around their inventory, right? So that's key, right? We're not making fun videos or graphics really even. We're just putting your inventory in front of intent-based buyers on both of those platforms. But if we're sticking with Meta is one of my favorites, because if you look at the dollars and cents to it, the cost per click scenario is cheaper than anything that you can do out there. It's in the teens with most of our dealers, right? Mm-hmm. And the best part about it, when you look at it from an angle of, hey, how am I going to get the best brand representation? You force feed this information into somebody's Facebook or Instagram profile, and through frequency, I mean, they're seeing your inventory with your logo and your messaging over and over and over again, right? Until they take action. Google, on the other hand, it's a participation game, right? They have to go to Google, they have to search, you know, motorcycle for sale near me, Akron, Ohio, right? And then people will bid on those keywords for your ad to show up, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit of a duality, right? The strategies help complement each other through the awareness on Meta and then through the search intent on Google. But we all do it, you know, based on what the dealer has to sell, which in my opinion is only what people care about, right? Unfortunately, I think a lot of dealers put a lot of stock into their branding or their location. All that stuff's important, don't get me wrong. But consumers are transactional with our industry, with our dealerships, right? They go to you when they have a need or want, and then once that need or want is fulfilled, they're kind of done with you, right? Yeah. Now it's time for your retention strategy to pick up, and now they're introduced to your service department or your parts and gear department, right? But when it comes to the sale of a motorcycle, they're going to look for one when they're in cycle, in funnel, in buying purpose, and then they're done, right? And so we need to catch them at the right time with the right ad, with the right messaging when they're ready.
So you and I had a prior discussion where you mentioned that you have a tool for the website that helps people generate more leads from traffic they already have. We've kind of talked about some things that cost money. This, you know, like pay more to Google, pay more to Meta, but let's bring it back to the people that are already coming to your site. How can you capture more of them?
So I've been in this space for a long time, the digital sales and Powersports specifically, right? It's kind of a unique vertical that I play in, and I've gotten very good over it. And most dealers that have website traffic going to their websites, they're leaking leads, right? Mm-hmm. So we get a ton of visitors to our websites every single month, big, small dealers, right? You're looking at your analytics, I hope, but not a lot of them see the proper conversions for those trade type leads, right? So maybe you've got some marketing running, you've got a call to action, you've got a button on your website that says, get your trade in value. Oftentimes it's a generic form, right? It's not really interactive. and they're kind of looked at as a second thought. Okay. So what we've done is we've partnered with Digital Power Solutions, and great company, have been working with them for many years, and they have an application called Trade Cycle. Now, Trade Cycle replaces your standard form on your dealership website and a couple other little places here to be highly engaging. Okay. Now, we've helped generate thousands of leads over many different rooftops with this Trade Cycle widget. The best part of it is that it integrates right into your Motohunt buy center tools, so that not only are you looking at your wholesale purchases and your Facebook marketplace leads and your auction buys and your manual trade-ins, but now you've got this other dimension of what is my website bringing me in terms of trade and buy leads. And it all goes in there, you manage it, you appraise it there, and you're able to have a different, more intelligent conversation with that customer that has the intent of trading or buying their vehicle, or trading or selling their vehicle with you.
Wow. So in the buy center software, I'm tracking the people that I'm reaching out to on Craigslist. I'm tracking the people that I'm reaching out to from any source, but also the people from my website. So if I log into my system on a Monday morning and I want to say, okay, who are the people I need to call today? They're all in one place. So I'm not going to multiple locations and fumbling through multiple logins to see all the people I need to call today.
Absolutely. Think about it. So if you're a dealer listening to this, right, you're probably thinking to yourself, how is my team handling those trade leads now? They're probably coming through your CRM or some type of notification that you got online that you may get copied on, but it's going to your sales team and they're going to treat it just like any other lead, right? My problem with that is that it's a very different intent. Like I was saying before, this customer has a vehicle that they want to either sell or trade in on top of whatever else they're trying to do, right? Now, if you look at your different variety of leads that a dealer may get, they're mostly getting contact us, get quote forms, finance applications, get pre-qualified for a purchase, right? So those are all buying intent. This one we kind of separate out because it has a vehicle attached to it as part of that scenario. So when you have a rep that's going through this portfolio of different lead sources, Cycle Trader, all of them from your website and all the third parties, the trade lead, it needs to kind of be handled a little bit differently. Now, we also ask, what are our dealers doing to tackle that? And some of them are actually giving those leads to managers or a specialized team that handles just the trade-ins or just the purchasing for their team. And they don't let their reps really kind of handle those because that almost needs a different conversation.
Well, yeah, I mean, you certainly don't want to call somebody that's only interested in selling you their bike and say, well, what are you interested in? What are you interested in buying? They're going to say, I've been through this song and dance before.
Yeah.
I mean, I think anybody that's ever sold knows, I mean, like that we used to only look at those people as, they're selling their bike. We should call them and try to sell them a bike.
That's right.
And people expect that. So to change the conversation and call them and say, hey, let's talk about your bike. You're interested in selling it. I mean, that's just something as simple as that could be the difference between that person coming in to show you the bike or not.
Totally. And it's customizable too. So, when you look at the customers that are filling out these forms, right? Mm-hmm. They're taking the time to answer these questions. What's the VIN number? What's the mileage? What's the condition, right? All the standard questions that you would more or less fill out if you were, walking down that funnel as a customer on a dealer website. So the problem with that is that most reps that reach out, like you said, they're conditioned to only really have one type of conversation. That's, I'm going to sell you something, not the other way around. And so really kind of handling that a little bit differently within your internal process is key to success on that.
Nice. Yeah. Now, I can tell this isn't your first podcast. You must have a lot of practice. Can you tell us a little bit about your podcast?
Yes. So I have a little labor of love. It's called the Dealership Fix It Podcast. I took it over a couple years ago from a guy named Brian Croft, respected industry veteran, and it's been awesome, right? So what we try to do is we try to give back, right? I bring on experts, I bring on thought leaders, I bring on dealership people, software developers, all these different types of people and walks of life within our own industry, right? It's Powersports driven only. And we talk about real problems that dealers are facing today and how to solve those, right? So it's not a fluff podcast for sure. It's dedicated to digital sales. It's dedicated to service technicians, F&I process. We just talked about Angela coming on, right? And so it's got all these different scenarios, right, that we're trying to go through and say, what are the problems dealers are facing from your perspective? Let's talk about it. And we talk about strategies on how dealers can take actionable advice away from this and use it at their own dealerships.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, is there anything more you'd like to share with our audience today?
You know, what I wanted to share, I think it's appropriate right now, is that times are always cyclical, right? So, we've got a lot of stuff happening right now as we're recording this, right?
Yep.
Tariffs, economy, all these things, right? And not that long ago, everything was gangbusters and living high on the hog, as they say, right? Now it's a little bit, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? I'm not unsure about all these different scenarios, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for the dealers that want to win in 2025, and this is just my opinion, take it or leave it, right? Free advice, it's worth exactly that, right? They're going to be data driven. They're going to have intelligence behind them to make these decisions, not only in their inventory management, but also as they go through and they start to look at their process, they look at their strategies and they go, hey, is used bikes something that I'm really going to tackle? If it is, great. You need to look at all your different sources, how you're going to obtain these things, how you're going to run it through your shop on reconditioning, how you're going to make it frontline ready, how you're going to merchandise these things to be on your website so that you can market them and get that extra exposure on social media or on Google and really make your profit margins, right? The new vehicles that are sitting on dealer lots right now are bleeding cash. The used bikes is what a lot of dealers are telling us is going to be their mainstay for how they make profit in 2025 and beyond. So for anybody that needs that assistance, anybody that needs that help, I've got a ton of resources, a ton of materials, and obviously I'm here to talk about my tools that we've developed over many years that do just that.
Jacob, it's been a real pleasure having you today.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian.
Can't wait to have you back again.
Yes, looking forward to it. And any dealers that need any help with this, we're at dealers.motohunt.com. We've got some free resources. Check us out. We'd love to show you what we've got.
Thank you for taking the time to join us for this motorcycle and power sports news, Power Players. Today, our guest has been Jacob Berry from Motohunt. We hope to see you again on a future episode.